Okay, so hi, I'm David. I'm a second year student. I'm studying land economy, though last year, my first year, I did economics. So basically, I'd like to be JCR Treasurer for the year 2014. I think I'd like to get really stuck into JCR this year, something I haven't been involved in that much as a fresher. And 2014 is like my last kind of full calendar year at Selwyn, so I think that's like a really good opportunity to give it my all. I think I have good organisational and mathematical skills needed for this role. So the main things I want to achieve are just like the real basics of basic treasurer functions. I don't have any kind of radical policies, I just want to do the basics really well. So the main thing I want to do is improve the efficiency and publicity of like welfare related expenses. So something like the laundry flows, it's often like not functioning as it should be, and people aren't aware weeks it is up and running, weeks it isn't. So I'd like to sort that out. And things like reimbursing the cost of emergency and welfare taxi runs. So some people aren't sure like how much you can get off and things like that. And the same goes for bike lights. So I'll be more than happy just you tell me if you give me the receipt, and I'll definitely try and get that back to you as quick as I can. So it's like £5 for one light, £10 for a set. Also, just greater transparency of JCR account. So it is up on the JCR website, but it isn't the most user-friendly website. So, for example, when we had like the whole KUSU disaffiliation things, it was quite a big thing. Like, how much are you even spending? So, transparency, things like that. I'd like to make that more clear. I'm definitely willing to kind of any financial concerns you have. Please come to me. I'm very open and approachable. And if necessary, I can take them to like college council meetings. So, for example, last year with things like in Cripps Corps, getting some money back for residents of H&I staircases. So that's something that they did last year. So any concerns like that, I'd be willing to take that on board. And I'm quite confident about running for treasurer because I'm aware that we've got like strong previous JCR experience. Caroline and Richard have already been on the JCR before, so I know that although I haven't been on JCR before, I know that even as treasurer I'll have some like real strong support with me. Sure. And then why I'm suitable, like I've done like kind of work experience, things like that in banking, accountancy. I'm more than competent in things like maths and calculators. I did economics for a year. I know what a spreadsheet is. And I kind of said it jokingly on my manifesto that I'm landing, so I've got lots of time, but I do genuinely understand that the role of treasurer involves a lot of work and a lot of commitment, and I've made like half of that, but genuinely I can put a lot of work into this and really kind of give it my all. So thank you.
Okay, let's hear from Sophie now.
Hi everyone, I'm Sophie. I'm a first year economist. For those of you who don't know, I've also changed courses for studying engineering, so I've actually been at Selwyn for 2.5 years now. For me, I think the most important part of the treasurer role is the responsibility that comes with it, and making sure that the treasurer is able to facilitate the efficient and effective running of the JCR and make sure that all the other officers are able to do their jobs as well as they possibly can. And ultimately, the qualities that you need to be responsible are honesty and respectability. So you really just want a treasurer that you can trust. Part of this, as David's already said, is the transparency of the role. And in sort of preparation for that, I've been looking at the previous accounts and talking to Richard, Glenn and David Park, and I've sort of pulled together a couple of things that I think, as treasurer, I'd like to improve on the transparency for this year. The first is kind of as David said too, I just don't think the website is clear enough. Like if you look at the budget, the expenditures, I mean they're all there, but stuff like the PRS license, like what is that? Like I asked Richard didn't know what that was, I was Glenn, like it's just not clear. It should be simple. You should be able to click on the PRS license. It should take you to a page that just says what it is, why it benefits you, like basically why we're spending money on it. The second problem I think is, as David also said, is that I don't think people know what they're entitled to. This is obvious because the budget that we have for expenses isn't being utilised. So bike lights and helmets, people should know what they're entitled to and be able to maximise that. The other stuff is stuff like the pub membership scheme, which you pay £120 a year for. That's quite a big amount of money, and I didn't know about that until I saw it on the budget list. So I think people just in general need to know more about what they're entitled to as part of the JCR. My solution to that is obviously greater publicity. I would kind of like to see a notice in the Porter's Lodge or something that attracts people so that when they walk past my page they think, oh, I could put my receipts in there, get money back for helmets, lights, etc. And then also working with other officers such as the freshers reps and welfare reps so that they know what the difference between the welfare taxi fund and the emergency taxi fund is if someone asks them directly. So just sort of general awareness so that everyone knows and can make the most out of their JCR money. The third problem I see is the money with the laundry floats, emergency taxi funds and the welfare taxi funds. Ultimately, this is the relationship with the Porter's Lodge, and I know there's been problems with this recently, which Glenn has fixed. But I'd like to see increased awareness of who the treasurer is in the Porter's Lodge, and make sure that, in general, there's greater accountability taken for that money. So perhaps with the issue of the A&E taxi funds, which I know has been a problem last year and probably will come up again this year, I'd like to, because that is public money, I'd like to see greater accountability taken. So I think all these things would improve the transparency of the role, and if you think I'd be a good job at delivering that, and you can trust me, then that's where I think you should vote for me.
Okay, now I'd like to invite questions from the floor, and like I said, they're going to be directed at both candidates, and we'll start with Sophie on the answer. So, yeah.
We have £19,000 in our current account and we don't get any significant returns from it. How would you improve that, for example, through investments or other things, so we can get higher returns?
It's definitely an interesting question. I have spoken to the previous officers, and I don't think it's something that's been considered in great detail, but it's not a decision that needs to be taken by the treasurer exclusively. I mean, I'd be more than happy as treasurer to look into possibilities and talk to college members and staff to see what could be done, but it's not a decision that I think needs to be undertaken explicitly by the treasurer. But I'd be more than happy if people wanted their rates to put it forward in JCR meetings and take it further if that's what everyone agreed on.
Yeah, I think a fairly similar answer, so I wouldn't know about that exactly at the moment, and I don't think if I was elected it would be my kind of sole position to have a say on that. But again, just like I want to be quite an approachable treasurer, so if you have concerns like that, I'd like to hear about I'd like to hear about them and kind of have a more open discussion about it rather than just it being me making that decision.
Okay, another question? Yeah, Tom.
How come you applied so late after the deadline?
Start there.
Yeah, fair question. JCR isn't something that I thought, especially the role of treasurer, was something that would be as accessible to me. So as a fresher, I didn't really kind of understand a lot about the role. But when I saw who the candidates were, and it was basically the vice president, knowing that kind of either Richard or Glenn, so a very experienced hand would be there, in addition to kind of the experience that Caroline has, I thought, even though I haven't been very active in the JCR front for the last year, I thought with those with that kind of strong leadership at the head of the JCR, I shouldn't really have any reason to be afraid to go for it. So I think that, to be fair, that was the honest reason, but I thought, yeah, just go for it.
For me, I think when I saw that, I just hadn't, I sort of thought about more involvement in JCR. Similarly, I hadn't had a huge involvement before, but when I saw the roles up the ground, I spoke to Glenn and Richard, and it sort of became apparent how important this role was, and it just almost disheartening that no one had applied for such a crucial role in college. So I just sort of made the decision that I wanted to give him the best shot, and if David did apply, but make sure that someone who was accountable and trustworthy took on the role, because it is vital to the sort of smooth run of the JCR.
Okay. Any other questions? Yeah, what?
Currently, to pay people back, we get checks. So anyone, any member of the JCR has spent any money for the JCR, or they're getting refunded, they get a check. would you consider making it so that maybe people have that money bank transferred, or would you make cash available, but so that people get paid back in cash, so just to make it easier? You don't have to.
I could just make a point of information. I was meant to be bank transfers this term, but I didn't get the form from the right person until week 6. So I decided it's probably best to give that form to whoever wins.
Okay, would you make cash available for people?
Well, I think the reason that cheques have been used historically is because they're a much easier way of recording who's got the money when it was given, and so you have a record so that it can be checked if there's any question. If there became a way, or if you could develop a way which was equally secure or manageable, so that someone couldn't come back to you and say you didn't give me the money when you already did. So I mean, that's sort of, because that's kind of the problem with cash, is that you can put $5 in someone's bid and they can say, well, I didn't get it, and then JCR starts losing money. It's much less accountable, really. So if a way could be developed that problem was unavoidable, then I would say yes, but at the moment I can't think of a way in which that's possible.
Yeah, I mean, similar answer. I wouldn't be keen on kind of dealing with cash, because it's hard for like kind of recording transactions, things like that, getting receipts and making it quite official. I quite like the idea of doing something like bank transfers. So if that was to be in place, I would be keen in establishing that, because you still get kind of all the official receipts and everything online. But I'm personally not so keen on going for the cash system, just simply because it just seems a bit unofficial, a bit clumsy, but just for kind of recording purposes.
Anybody else? No? Okay, no more questions then. Thank you to both of you. And voting will open tonight, probably.